Thank you very much for being here today. I'm Mrs. Raju Paterson, and I'm the Director of Women Empowerment at ACCP, the Alliance Creative Community Project. So little bit introduction about the Alliance Creative Community Project. It is a non-governmental organization and was established in 2008 and registered in 2010, obtained accredited status with ECOSOC in 2013. The ACCP interact freely and works together with communities towards the promotion of peace, harmony, and sustainable environments. The ACCP also conduct conferences on different topics, connecting people around the world to share their valuable ideas towards sustainable peace and development. Thanks again for joining us today again. Now I invite our President, His Excellency John Nana Yo-Oke, to deliver the welcome speech. John is known in most countries in the world through his leadership in his organization. His organization was called to join the United Nations Economic and Council in 2013, as well as the United Nations World Sustainable Development, where he and his team members all over the world are working hard to support the United Nations on health, security, environment, education, and also to maintain peace and bring order in areas to conflict in many countries around the world. John, I welcome you to deliver the speech.
Thank you very much, Raji. Thank you for the warm introduction. I greet everyone. And I'll start by saying good morning from Canada and Banakam to you all. President of Alliance Creative Community Project, I am happy to have you all join us in our first advisory online meeting on peaceful coexistence towards sustainable development, with the topic, agenda of building peace by meeting people's need. I cordially welcome the most honorable chief guest of His Royal Highness Nana Ntebua IV, King of Prestia, Ghana, West Africa, and the guest of honor, Dr. Gerald Feinstein, Dean and Chief Academic Officer, Head of Planet Startup Education NGO, Visiting Fellow, Harvard University. As we all know, peaceful messages are being preached and announced on social, television, and print media all over the world. But the question is, has the peaceful message strategically been sent to the people with clear understanding? It is upon this that the Peaceful Coexistence Summit is being organized by ACCP with a phase one topic on building peace by meeting people's need in our modern society. I believe that your continued support for the forthcoming meeting will take us to the next level. In the process of ACCP's activity and everything, we became a member of the United Nations Economic and Social Council, United Nations major group member of World Sustainable Development. Peace begins with a smile. Do your bit of good where you are. It's that little bit of good put together that overwhelm the world. That is Desmond Tutu. As I bring my message to an end, I say.
Now, I feel honored to welcome our guest of honor, Dr. Gerald M. Feinstein, the Dean and Chief Academic Officer, visiting fellow Harvard University. He is the Chief Academic Officer introducing emerging information technology applications for business, education, and workforce development around the world. He is an advisor to the United States National Science Foundation on early identification of emerging technology and education trend. Dr. Feinstein, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Good morning. Well, it's morning here, and I don't know where it is with all our other guests here. But what I wanted to do today that's important is to share some basic ideas about who we are, but why we're doing what we're doing. And I want to get possibly some buy-in from the other people here about what's really going on in the world. And I'd like to first share some basic ideas. One of those is that throughout history, stable and smoothly running societies, in the past have always tried to ensure that people stay busy, earn enough to live, obtain food, and have a sense of community and sustainability. Now, when that doesn't happen, society and the nation becomes unstable. Unstable means non-sustainable. It breaks down, it doesn't keep on. But the same thing that happens, some of the symptoms of unsustainable societies are rapidly rising violent crime, rape, conflict, terrorism, forced marriages, child trafficking, international poaching, and war. And it's a fact, and we know this happens. Something else, we know that if people are busy working, making money with many opportunities, they have no time for trouble, foolishness, and things like that. Things go on and things are sustainable. In the past, interestingly enough, war was actually looked on as a solution because it kept a lot of people occupied, fed, and under control. That's not a good way to do it. Another interesting solution that's gone on in the past, is well documented, is monument building and public works. It's a fact, another fact, that most of the great societies in the past did that. However, how many nations today have the money and resources to fund large public works projects and keep things from spinning out of control as the amount of unemployed youth and adults continues to grow? We don't even want to mention monument building because the money isn't there, but yet in the past, many nations have actually done that. Another inconvenient truth that we have is that today there's a problem with vast numbers of youth coming of age with little or no prospects for a job. That is happening all over the world, and it's starting to cause instabilities. And we can see these happening. They're very recognizable. Now, within nations that are almost impossible to correct this using traditional methods, because there's a lack of resources or unwillingness or lack of know-how to maintain that kind of stability and sustainability. Our solution at Planet Startup is that we create, it's very simple, we create entrepreneurs who become job creation engines in their communities, nations, and regions. Then as they grow, they help us to train others, and so on. They go into the most rural areas that are kind of hard to reach from most national governments to work in the villages. And that we call our growing army of barefoot entrepreneurs. They go to places most people don't want to go. And we do one thing, and that's to help create jobs through education, mentoring, and partnerships. And we do that virtually around the world, with our first class actually started in Ghana. So again, if anyone's interested in learning more, you can always contact me. Now, a little bit about who we are. Again, we're Planet Startup, all volunteer charitable organization registered in the United States, and we're organized to mentor and coach young adults residing in developing, remote, or marginalized areas of the world to set up and run their own companies, as well as connecting them with investors, partners, and mentors to help them succeed. We just don't train and then say, okay, go on and build your business now. We stay with them and sometimes help them move money, work with their banks, and things like that to make things happen. Now, when you look at our mission, is to foster, again, job creation around the world with our rapidly growing army of barefoot entrepreneurs. We are unique in what we do and how we do it. We meet in donated spaces and partner universities, schools, libraries, and places of worship, internet cafes, hotel conference rooms, and people's homes even. And again, we have this growing army of investors and venture capitalists who actually listen to the presentations, and depending on their interest in the student projects, might offer an investment and partnership opportunity for their businesses. And a little bit about our history and how this started is I developed the original curriculum and set of classes for the program at Harvard and the George Washington University in the US. And the idea was not to teach theory, but to teach students all aspects of setting up a company, leveraging the internet to kind of get the word out, and having them actually do it, by generating income before the end of the program. It's a learn by doing. And what we say, and what you cannot learn how to ride a bicycle by reading a book. You need to actually do it. And that's kind of what we do with setting up a company. That's the idea behind the Harvard case method of education that we use, that you learn by doing. And our format is 3 or 4 months, 1 day a week for a few hours, and the rest is class time with a local mentor. And the actual syllabus can change depending on local customs, desired outcomes during the program. Students develop their own website, and everything's free. They don't pay for anything, as well as set up merchant credit card accounts and other payment gateways, depending on the type of business and nation. First is a prototype application and learning how to write a business plan. And each student or group of students actually writes a business plan for their own business idea. They learn how to brief the idea using PowerPoint or similar overheads, and possibly demonstrate a prototype to a potential investor. They also learn how to use sites like GoFundMe or similar as an alternative to set up funding. Our first class, at the end of the program, we brought in potential investors from several venture capital firms to listen to the student presentations. And in many cases, they actually invested in the student companies. And why we're doing this, something that we think is obvious, is that talent and initiative are distributed equally among all people all over the planet. However, opportunity, technology, access to capital, and world markets definitely is not. And that's what we're trying to fix. We're trying to fix that. So in addition, that we kind of know this, quality job creation around the world is falling rapidly. It's all nations, not just 1 or 2, with the result being that well-qualified graduates are unemployed around the world, causing growing political instability, rising crime and political terrorism being the result, as many countries are not recognizing that the underlying causes are. And they're actually, in many cases, powerless to stem the tide. And we believe that a reliance on individual entrepreneurism, the free market, and being able to access those markets through internet technologies can reverse that trend. Now, how we're organized, we, as Planet Startup, do not actually have our own offices around the world. We have a few offices through partnerships, but we have always national directors, the local people, and local partners. And some of the things that we're doing is working with partner universities around the world to connect with each other for the purposes of international conferences, collaborative research, collaborative student projects, having the students get together. And we are working with the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers to help with us. And the IEEE is the world's largest technical professional organization dedicated to advancing technology for the benefit of humanity. And they like what we're doing, and we like what they're doing. There's some symbiosis there. Now, we're also working with a future partner. It's a group who's helping a future partner to design a very high-tech university complex in Cameroon. We're working with organizations in the US and around the world in places like the Philippines. Just right now, Ecuador, Congo, and the Central African Republic are being developed. Now, bottom line, too, is that no student is ever charged for their education and mentoring. Now, how do we know we're doing a good job? Is we look at outcomes. What percent actually become wealthy by helping others? And there's an organization, and I'll provide some links in the chat area in a little bit, called Great Nonprofits, who gave us their top nonprofit award for 3 years in a row. Why is this? One reason is that they actually have a website that collects and lists what students, donors, and volunteers think about us, along with a rating score. You know, that's kind of what they do, and we come out on top. Now, what I'd like to do, if I can here, if I think, how much time? Do I have about a minute left, or am I just out of my time? I'd like to try sharing some pictures if that's a possibility.
You can share the pictures, doctor. No problem.
Okay, let's see what we can do. Can you see that okay?
Yeah, we can see that.
Okay, that's actually one of our classrooms in Ghana. And what we're doing there, we're training our trainers. These are people who have, these are our Planet Startup shirts. And we're partnering in Ghana with a Top Zone Foundation. And the head of Top Zone Foundation, who's now training thousands of people in Ghana, was one of our first graduates. He said, you know, can a foundation be a, you know, look at it as a business? I said, yeah, you know, let's do that. And he's done a wonderful idea. Let's look at some more here. This is one of the villages that we're in. You see that solar tower and the lights and the villages. We're actually in there helping the people to develop businesses using the internet to actually go out to the world and be able to distribute their products. In some cases, they're physical products, but we're working with groups in Africa and South America to develop paintings, photographs, and things like that that can be moved digitally, because the future is in digital products, because it costs so much to ship something to the US or Europe from a lot of these countries. And a lot of these countries too have, you know, PayPal doesn't work there. And I was talking to a journalist the other day, and actually somebody in the World Bank, and how the discussion went, I said, some of these nations can't pay back their international loans because they can't make money, because they can't set up, in many cases, Visa merchant accounts, or it's hard to do that. PayPal won't transfer money. And one of the subcontractors that we, or companies that we helped set up in one of the nations, had a problem with a client that they had in India. They said, oh, we only transfer money with PayPal. So we had to set up a deal where the money came to the US and then back to them via Western Union. That's not a good way of doing it. So we're working with some of the payment platforms in Africa to help deal with that, with those kinds of problems. Let's see, that's all I want to show now. You know, I've got some more, you know, with basically with some of the local chiefs and regional kings who we actually work with to make this happen. Because in some of these countries, unless you're really dealing with the individuals who, so to speak, own the land and have the connection with the people, it just doesn't. We're actually getting these people in positions where they're making money. That money is circulating around their local communities. And it's in addition to the cities, in these little rural communities that usually don't get money to set up companies with the central government, or in many cases, we talk to them about the World Bank and other situations, and they say, we don't know what that is, and we've never gotten any money from them to do anything. So that's what we're doing. And again, I'm going to put some contact information up in the chat window if any of you want to look at some other stuff that we're doing and get in touch or want to partner with us. It's just a fun thing that we're doing. And I thank you so very much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you, Doctor. Thank you for sharing your valuable ideas and what you're doing around the world, and especially the job creation, and you can become their own job creator and they can even help others. So thank you so much. And we can move to discussion time, because we are running out of time too. So I'm going to invite Dr. Feinstein, so you can take the floor and initiate the discussion.
Yeah, I've got some questions because there was a very interesting statements brought up in the talks. One in particular interested me because it's something that I'm aware of, because we visit a lot of nations. When you land in the airport and you see the UN trucks and tanks at the airport, you know it's not going to be a good day necessarily. We weren't told this in advance. We were supposed to meet the president of this country. So we get to the palace in an armored vehicle. And each day that we went there, the vehicle, took different pathways. I was asking about that. What's really going on here? They said, oh, that's the UN peacekeeping force. So I think it was brought up here that peacekeeping, part of the definition is the military aspects, which might be phase one. The other aspects that other people have talked about and that we get into is after you kind of control the bleeding and the hemorrhaging and that sort of thing, what do you do next? Because the peacekeeping force leaves and we have the same situations that we had before. So the idea is that a number of people have spoken about is, what do you do next? What we do is we go in there and create jobs. We're very, very apolitical in the sense that nobody is concerned, or there's no negative aspects of job creation. Everybody wants that. So we're kind of left alone to do that. But there's probably other kinds of dimensions to how you fix that problem in phase two. And I was wondering if some others might want to comment on your experiences there and what you do and what you've seen happen. Any thoughts? How about, let's see, you, Dr. Is it Asokan? I think you had some comments about that, and so did Mr. Iqbal. If any of you could comment on that, that would be nice.
Could you please refine the question again? Sorry.
Well, what it is, both of you have indicated, one from a human rights standpoint and the other from the idea of the different phases of peace. One is the military or something else going and stopping the problem, but then what do you do after that? To make sure that when the peacekeepers leave, that we go on to the next step, which is sort of a sustainable, happy society.
No, it means you're asking a question: what happens, or what we need to do once the peacekeeping force leaves the area, right?
Right. Otherwise, it goes back to what it was before, oftentimes.
Actually, the peace resolution or the peace mechanism, as to my perspective, it's always binded to the politics of some particular nations, or in terms we can say it's binded to the nation with supreme power. So in terms of at least in Tamil conflict in Sri Lanka, the peace has been collapsed, or the peace mechanism has been collapsed. It's because the powerful nation involved in it, and they wanted to implement what they wanted to do. In that way, UN was kept away from the arena, we can say, or UN peacekeeping mechanism was not involved in its full perspective or full privileges. At one incident, I just wanted to bring it to this floor. In 2008, like in October, when the war was intensified, all the human rights organization, including UN, has left Kilinochchi, stating that the war has intensified. But people from Kilinochchi have stressed the human rights organization, if you leave this place, then the war will be more intensified and there won't be any witness for the war here in an international view. By bypassing the people's wish or by avoiding the people's need, UN people left the Tamil region. So that's the irony here. Later on, they wanted to talk about peace and justice after the war has been over, or the full intensified genocide has been committed by Sri Lankan military forces. So there is actually irony in all the situations. Even if you want to build a peace or the peace mechanism, then the politics of supreme power nation should be away from that. That's what my view, at least I can say.
Permit me to respond to Dr. Gerald. Well, it's ironical, if somebody goes to Sri Lanka today and if they travel up north, you will see there more military presence there than during the war. And why are they there? Last 10 years they are there. They are there to say that there is peace in the country. Can there be peace when the victims of the war are there and the military is all over the place? The number of units of the military in the north is much more than in the rest of the country. And they say there is peace. There is nothing meaningful done to improve the infrastructure in the north and east damaged during the war. The only thing the government can claim to do is they have set up a lot of highways connecting up all the. I say no more. Is there peace in the country? I say no more.
Very, very good. Hey, John, do you have any thoughts on the topic?
Yeah, hi, doctor. Yeah, I've been listening. And I've been being educated by all of you. Whatever I'm learning today, I believe I'll pick up a lot to put on the table. And the little I will say is I am very honored and happy to have people who had really been on the field, more or less had become victims of even a war crime. The scene, they've been witnessing it and everything. So by educating us on those subjects, we take it very serious. And I guess we're going to use it for our education as time goes on. But the little that I will speak on, let's say, when the UN peacekeeping trucks or the vans or the troops leave the country or they leave, whether there must be, let's say, there should be still, the war should still be there, or the chaos should still be there, or the problem should still exist or not. I believe that if the people really, if the message that the peacekeeping team deliver to the people, if they break it down into pieces, or they come down to the level of the let's say the community or the citizens or the people that they were going to work with, and they really understand them well, they will pick it up from there and then start from there. They take it over and continue from there. It's the campaign for peace and meeting people's need. From here, we're going to pick up all these pieces and then join them together and let the United Nations team understand and then know that this is where we are also coming from. Then we'll pick it from there. Thank you very much, Doctor, for the platform.
Okay, does anyone else have any comments that they'd like to make? Otherwise, what we could do, Raji, is moved on to the, I guess the William Paterson.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. So I'm going to invite Mr. William Paterson. He's the project director at ACCP. So he's going to deliver a vote of thanks now. Thank you so much.
Raji?
Yeah.
Yeah, he said he can hear me.
He can hear you?
Yes, now he can speak now.
He can?
Yes, he's online.
Okay. So then I'm going to invite him. Sorry about it. So yeah, now we are request our distinguished chief guest. So His Royal Highness Nana Intibopra, the Divisional King of Human Trust Ghana. He graduated from the African University College of Communications, Ghana, and is doing his master's in chieftaincy and traditional leadership at Kwame University of Science and Technology, Kumasi. He has also mentored and educated most of the youth group in Africa, especially in Ghana. With that being said, let us welcome His Royal Highness Nana Pra. Thank you.
Thank you, Raji. Good afternoon to all the participants on this platform. I would say Akwaba in Ghana, meaning welcome. I've struggled for about 1.5 hours because I was unable to hear anything, but I've now been able to connect it, and I would like to share a few thoughts on arting or whatever that we have been discussing this afternoon on this platform. So I'm very grateful for getting me at the last tail of this conversation. And it's very important that we talk about peace and we talk about exactly what people really need. So I have been asking myself some few questions to think about the meaning of building, to think about peace, and think about needs. Now, we mostly define peace as an absence of war. But I think in our dispensation, what peace could mean is the state of having no disturbances, a state whereby you have no disturbances. And I'll take my time to take some few points to buttress or to support my definition for peace. Now, when you have good health, you have peace. When you are not well, you have no peace. Globally, we all know what is affecting our health delivery now. That is COVID-19. I don't think the world has peace now. Everybody is fighting COVID-19. This pandemic has really stored a whole lot of initiative for most countries, irrespective of the continent that you find yourself. Aside COVID-19, even cholera, malaria, polio, and other health-related issues continue to downplay on development of other countries, thereby rendering these people or these nations in a state of not having peace. And so therefore, when you have a good health delivery system, when you have robust health care, when you have a community where you have no diseases or you can even control diseases at the minimum level, then to me, you have peace. And so therefore, people globally need health. And this health if attained, means that I am at peace when it comes to health delivery. Another area that I want us to also to consider is education. In Ghana, our government has introduced a policy known as free SHS, where people attending second cycle institution attend school for free without paying any money. Without paying any money. So if you were a parent or you were a citizen and you are unable to afford education for your wards, you are not at peace. If you can't pay your ward's school fees, you are not at peace, because you will be fighting with yourself. You'll be asking yourself questions. Where do I get money to further my education? Where do I get money to pay my brother's school fees? Where do I get money to provide for basic educational needs or even educational materials for my wards? So as a nation, if we are able to meet our educational requirements, we are not at peace. And so therefore, we need a system that will provide access to quality education, not just free education, but quality free education for our citizenry. Through education, people will be able to know what is wrong, what is right, to live peacefully with other citizens, with global people, with different continents, with people coming from different cultural backgrounds. And here on education, one major aspect that we also need to consider is culture. We are coming from a different cultural backgrounds. And so therefore, we need to also, as a people, to appreciate and respect each culture and values. When I respect your culture, I'm at peace with you. When you respect my culture, I am at peace with you. And so therefore, through education, we will be able to also appreciate and learn from each other through cultural values for us to be at peace with each other. Then again, I'll mention freedom. Freedom from what? Freedom to speak, freedom to move, freedom to eat, freedom to participate in governance, freedom to do a whole lot of things. If you are not free, you can't do anything for yourself. If you are not free, you cannot do anything that can move your country forward. That is why it is very, very important for us to respect our fundamental human rights. A country or a community who does not place fundamental human rights doesn't have peace. People will hit the street demanding that their rights are being respected and protected. And so therefore, it is very, very important that our basic human rights are always protected and respected. And so therefore, it is important for us to be able to move freely without any restrictions, to move from Ghana to Ivory Coast, our neighboring country, to move from Ghana to Togo, to move from Ghana to Burkina Faso without any restrictions, because we want to be at peace with each other. This doesn't mean that you move through the airport, you are not checked, or you don't inspect your passport. You go through all these traveling requirements, but we shouldn't be restricted from entering another's country, because we see ourselves as one people with one value, even though we have different cultures, but they are all similarities. Another major thing that sometimes doesn't bring peace and which needs to be tackled is issue of employment. In Africa, unemployment remains a major threat to our human security. We can talk of xenophobia attack in South Africa, where most of the young men were looting shops, attacking other citizens from different countries. And so therefore, it is important that we tackle issue of unemployment. In my community, which is a mining area, these days mining don't employ more people, unlike the olden days, where thousands of people can be employed. These days, a work that can be done in the past by 100 people can be done today by just 3 people, simply because we are using modern way of working, unlike the olden days, where excavators were not common, where mining equipment were not all that common, but these days they are. And so therefore, employment issues will be raised high. Unemployment will be very high, thereby putting a threat to our people or even to our livelihood. And so therefore, more job opportunities needs to be opened up so that unemployment can be resolved for us to live peacefully within our community. My last point is about sanitation. Sanitation is very important. Talking about water. If I don't get quality access water, I am not at peace. If my environment are always polluted, I am not at peace. And so therefore, these basic needs are the ones that people really need for them to be at peace. And when they are at peace, the entire global world is also at peace. Thank you very much for my submission, and I would like to end here. I really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, His Royal Highness, for your wonderful presentation. Thank you very much. Next, I invite Mr. William Paterson, the Project Director of ACCP, to deliver a vote of thanks. Thank you.
I will only take a moment, but I would like to mention our deep sense of appreciation for His Royal Highness Nana Ntabo Pra IV, King of Cresta, Ghana, for his explanation of building peace and needs. A good, robust health system and provision of excellent education needs builds peace. Recognizing and appreciating and respecting each person's cultural backgrounds, and a good education exposes people to other cultures. And all countries need to protect each individual's fundamental human rights for there to be peace. It's all very important points that he's brought up. Further, we are grateful for Dr. Gerald Feinstein for his insights on the current situation of youth in business, as well as facilitating our discussions. Creating young entrepreneurs to stimulate job creation in rural areas is a unique perspective and important initiative. It is great to see thousands of people benefiting from your projects.
Thank you so much once again to all the guests and our team for participating today with us. Have a blessed day. Thank you so much.